Hello, everybody. I'm Gary, the bearded woodworker,
And I'm Andrew, the bearded giant.
and we are the
The
Bearded
Bearded
Brothers
Brothers
podcast.
Podcast.
Oh, we weren't synced on that. Oh, well. Welcome.
Yes. So I think we'll probably call this our official first podcast.
Sure.
And we're still kind of winging it. We did a test one last week.
Yeah, we'll call that test. This will be episode 1.
Yeah, episode 1. And it is June 8th that we're recording it.
Okay.
2020.
2020.
Prosperity. So I think today's topic, the main topic will be shop organization. And,
Yes.
that's a topic that we could probably spend 47 hours discussing. Never
Yes.
get it
Because
covered.
I've spent 47 weeks trying to organize the shop. It's an endless task that goes on forever.
Yeah. So I have a very small space that I work in. Boy, I don't want to do the math and calculate the square footage, but it's like 400 square feet, roughly. And it's basically a shed that's well insulated and has power run out to it, but it's not a lot of space. And you are working out of a modified
2-car garage. It's basically a garage and a half, but I think it's kind of a long garage for a single car garage, really. I would roughly say we're probably 25 feet by 15 in one section, and then half of that on the other section. It was a 2-car garage with a wall dividing both garage doors with a little man door. And so I busted out probably about an 8-foot section of that wall and opened it up. And then I walled off the second half as a storage area. So 1/4 the 2-car garage is storage, and 3/4 I'm calling my shop.
Yeah, so it's basically kind of an L shape.
It's an L shape. Yeah, exactly.
The
So,
widest portion has 2 garage doors,
yep.
and then one, all of it goes all the way to the back, and then the other half just is like maybe 1/3 deep.
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I could open up both garage doors if I want and have access to outside, or just kind of open it up if we need to. The issues I'm having is they're 8-foot ceilings, and I'm finding that that's pretty small for a shop.
Yeah.
Just when you're trying to move a 8-foot piece of 2x4 or something like that, you can't just flip it around easily. So you have to
So
finagle it through.
I have I have about 9 feet clearance to the bottom of my rafters, and then another maybe 8 inches or 10 inches depth of the rafter. So I typically don't have that issue. My issue is distance, left to right, front to back.
Yes.
If I ripped something through a table saw that's 8 feet long, I can get started, but I can't finish because I'll run into a wall. So
Right.
I have double doors, like French doors, that would allow me to run it outside the end of the shop. But yeah, it works for me. And
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the double doors stops you from having a railing above you.
Yes. Yes.
So you have that upper space. I have 2 garage railings, which kind of can impede my workflow, but I'm also using that garage railing for my camera gantry that I made too.
Yeah.
So I'll live with it.
I built my gantry after you, I think, right?
Yes.
And I sucked mine really close to my ceiling, so the rails only come down 1.5 inches from the bottom of the rafters, so I don't lose any space. But I can push the swing arm all the way off to one side or the other and push it out of the way.
Yeah. And I find it's awesome. It's awesome not needing to move a tripod around and find floor space to set it up. If I need to do an extra shot that my gantry can't fit, I will set up a tripod, but I haven't really done that ever since I started using this thing.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. My space has a smaller footprint than yours, and if I put a full size tripod that stands my height, it takes up all my workspace. Like I can't move around it. So
yeah,
using my gantry to hold my camera or phone has worked out fantastic. In fact, right now it's holding the microphone for this
nice.
podcast.
We'll put a link down in the show notes below. I actually made a video of me building the gantry and putting it up. I'm using the garage door rails so the gantry goes across almost the whole entire shop, and then it slides side by side in between the rails too. So I thought it was a great idea. I thought it would be a video that would take off and be a great idea because I haven't seen anything like that anywhere on YouTube, and it's gotten 230 views or something. So it didn't do as well as I thought it would, but
There's a couple other folks out there that have gantry videos, but I didn't see any when I was doing the research. I didn't see any like yours where you used your garage door rail, and I didn't see any like mine where I use square tubing as
mhm.
rail. Uh, and then mine's all metal, and you have a combination of metal and wood.
Yeah, the camera, the whole arm gantry on the camera is made out of wood, and it's mounted to a piece of wood that has a lazy Susan in it, so it can spin 360 degrees. And then, yeah, it's attached to the wheels of the garage door is attached to the rail. So I have garage door rails that run in between the garage door rails, so perpendicular
Yeah,
to them. So
yeah. That lazy.
yours runs really smooth. Yours is real smooth. So.
Mine is metal on metal, but I sanded it down well and then oiled it. And then I have a caster, a swivel caster I picked up at Harbor Freight that I dismantled, and that's what allows me to 360-degree spin. And I just welded an arm and an arm double sectional so it collapses on itself. So it goes forward and down or backwards and up, whatever variations you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have links to our gantry videos. That's a valuable project, I think, for a YouTuber to get into if they have a small space like we do, even if they have a bigger space over their workbench, because it really allows you to get in close to what you're working on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've designed mine so it can come down and it's level with uh, my table, my work table, my workbench. So I can try to get those shots, but I use the GoPro, and the GoPro can only. I use 4K settings, so it's pretty awesome because I can actually zoom in during the editing process and still get a really clear picture of a fraction of the full video that it took, which is kind of cool. But I would like to have a camera that I can zoom in. I would love to have that crisp project up front and then blurry in the background. I think that looks really good. So
It's interesting. So you are recording everything in 4K?
yeah. Yeah.
I don't. I think I do 1080p. I can do 4K. I use my iPhone right now. I have a GoPro as well, and I did shoot plenty of videos with that, but I switched over to the iPhone.
Yeah. It takes a little longer to download the video to my editing software, and then every time I do something to it, I have to render it in order to see what I did, or it lags. And because it's a larger file, it takes a little longer to render things, and then it takes a little longer to upload it to my computer and then upload it to YouTube. Sometimes it'll take 2 hours to upload a 10-15 minute video where I'm at too, because I think I'm running 24 megabytes per second on my internet here, where you probably got 60 or 100 something, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what mine is right now.
When I was first doing videos using my phone, we had 6 megabytes per second upload download speed. That was download speed, and it was 1.5 to 2 megabytes per second upload speed.
That's so painfully slow.
It is, and I think we have 12 upload speed now and 24 download. But oh man,
Yeah,
it was awful.
oh. So I see behind you some racking that you're storing your impact driver and drill and some nail guns. Yes, right there. You
Yes.
you did a video on that, didn't you?
I did a video on, I think it's called the DeWalt Garage, and it was a video on how I just kind of made that little shelf that houses each individual little power tool, DeWalt power tool I have.
Yep.
And the racks that the air guns and the drills are on is ABS. I think it's 3-inch or 3.5-inch ABS piping.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of that video.
Podcast medium, people are really going to enjoy you pointing
Yes.
at it.
Well, you'll just have to go down in the show and get the links to that video if you haven't seen it yet. That's actually one of my best videos I have, is building the DeWalt Garage, is what I called it.
I have done something very similar, if not just stole your idea. In fact, I think you gave me a couple pieces of that ABS piping.
Oh, yeah.
And I store my cordless drill and my impact driver in a very similar format to what you have there. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to find some smaller ones, and I want to make little holders for my framing squares.
Oh.
And put one on my workbench and one by the miter saw, so I have a place to put it, because I'm always misplacing it. I'm using it, and then I don't have a place to put it after I mark it when it's on my miter stand.
Yeah.
And then I go and set it somewhere else, and I always look for it. And
Are you using the L square or the triangle?
the triangle one.
So the actual framing square.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that what they're called?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The machinists use something as well, but it has more like an L shape.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually seen quite a few creators online are using the new Woodpecker framing squares and squares and stuff like that. They're super nice, but they're super expensive.
I haven't even seen that. I don't know what that even is.
Yeah, so it's the red. It's a lot of the red stuff.
Red is fast. That must be really slick.
It is fast. Yes. Very accurate, I guess, being the red. But it comes in a nice little case or something with the little cutouts, little foam cutouts for it or something like that.
Wow.
Or maybe that's what creators are doing to store it. I mean, we're talking $80, $100 for framing squares and that kind of stuff, and T-squares. It's just,
I think mine, I have 2 triangle ones, and they range in price from like $6 to $12.
Yeah.
Made out of aluminum.
Yeah. I've got a couple of plastics. I got one aluminum, and of course I got a DeWalt one, which I don't believe is aluminum. It's a little heavier than the aluminum one. When the next time that you guys go into Home Depot or Lowe's or something, go look at the metal framing squares and then accidentally drop it. It's awesome. People all over stop and stare at you. It's great.
Right now, I just screw a screw in the wall and then hang my square on that.
Yeah. that
I
works.
like the idea of a nice slot to slide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little holster for it,
Yeah.
So, so anyways, before we kind of get into this organizing stuff, what's going on with you? What are you working on right now? Anything?
Well, I am having an outfit put solar panels on my roof right now.
Mm.
So they just started putting up the brackets today, and they had to do a little reinforcement of my roof above my garage, which actually was pretty simple. Just some 45-degree little knee wall, and they got the brackets in, and they got the micro inverters installed. And tomorrow they're going to start placing the panels and then running the wire into the attic space. And then, yeah, and then in a couple of weeks, the electrician will come out and wire it all up.
Huh. Are the panels going to be daisy chained to each other, or are they drilling multiple
Oh,
holes in your roof, or is it all? How
they,
is that? Do you know?
it's gonna since it's microinverters, each panel will convert its own power, but it's going to go into feed into a trunk cable, so they won't be doing 22 individual holes. There might be, I don't know, 4 holes maybe, because they will combine multiple outputs of the panel into more condensed groups that run in. They're not quite at that point yet, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
But when they're done mounting it, all the wires should be into your attic space
Yep.
before they're done, and then the next step is the electrician to come in and make
Yep. Yep. So these are
make
just
some sense out of the spaghetti wires you got going on.
so this is just the mechanical installers who place the brackets and the panels in place, and then they run the wiring just to the attic space, and then the electrician will pick it up from the attic and then run it and terminate it into a controller box, and then feed the panel, and then I'm also getting a new electrical panel, which I'm excited for.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. And for those of you guys that didn't catch our test podcast we have, Andrew, you're not having batteries. You're not backing up this power. This power is going directly into your panel,
Yep.
and you'll be able to use that electricity, and then the Portland General Electric will be able to use your unused electricity and pay you for it, kind of
Yes,
thing.
I'm doing a program called net metering. Well, the utility company will put a special meter on my house, and the power I produce from my panels I will use, and the excess power I produce that I don't use will be put back out on the grid for my neighbors and other utility company customers to use, and then my meter will run backwards, thus basically giving me a credit, and then the power company will credit my bill, and then when I don't produce enough power, I will work off that credit. So
Yeah.
Pacific Northwest, you basically produce more power than you need in the summer, building a large credit, and then you work that credit off in the winter, and then you start the cycle over again.
Right. Nice. And I saw a picture of the panels on your Instagram.
Yeah,
They're pretty thin.
they're really thin, but they're much larger than I thought they'd be surface-wise.
Huh.
I didn't put a tape measure on it, but it's roughly 4 foot by 5 foot width.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
big. Yeah.
That's cool. Nice. Nice.
So yeah, that's what I did to prepare for that is I took down a big tree in the front of my house that produced a lot of shade.
We took
We.
down a big,
That's
big tree.
true. Gary came up. Gary,
I'm still working on that video. I'll get something out here
yeah,
soon.
the bearded woodworker came up from the coast and assisted me in taking down the tree in my front yard that provided wonderful shade to my house, but provides evil shade if you want to produce solar.
Yes. Yes, evil shade.
It was so shade on my house. So yeah, that's the big news around here.
Cool.
Got some video ideas I need to work on. I just need to get off my lazy butt and do it. One of them is for those video viewers. One is reviewing this tool right here.
Oh yeah.
That I ordered. I haven't unboxed it yet even.
Yeah. There you go. So I I noticed on the last video I was pointing to the left side of me because that's where you are on the screen. Yeah. But then when it played back in reality, you were on the other side or something. So yeah. I have to remember to go, well, Andrew over here, and then hopefully I'm pointing at you at this section when I'm doing this.
Right now, Gary's over here.
Yes. Yes.
But in reality, he'll end up over there.
Right. Or the other way around.
Yeah.
Really? Wait. Point to where I am. Oh.
Which doesn't make sense for me looking at the screen, because right now I see you on my left, but I'm pointing physically to my right.
Oh, so you're not pointing at me on the screen.
On the screen, I'm pointing at you.
Okay. So I'm pointing at you too.
But in real life, reality, I'm pointing away from you.
Well, so if you pointed to your left, point to your left. So on my screen, you're pointing at me. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it.
I see you on my left side, but I'm pointing.
All right. That's funny.
It's weird.
Well, today I finally installed the last 2 windows of the whole house. All the windows have been replaced here, and the last 2 that were left were the 2 that go into the garage, or it actually leads into the storage space that we had. And it was just a pane of glass. It was literally 2 panes of glass, 2 windows, pane of glass, and it was just framed in.
Wow.
So I had to rip out the whole entire thing because the sill, it was sloped, and I put in the retrofit remodeled windows. So they have it's got the little tabs and stuff. And I had to get rid of the slope because it wouldn't fit. So I ripped out the whole entire window and the framing, reframed it up, and then I was able to put in the new windows. So now I've got some siding and trim and stuff that I have to do, but I only did that because I was organizing the storage unit and I had to find those windows. And once I found them and pulled them out, I thought, well, I should just do it now. It's supposed to rain the rest of the week. Yeah. Do it now that I've got this space where the windows were that I can put other stuff and kind of open things up. So finally happy to get that done. And it only took like 5.5 years, I think, for me to finally get that one done.
I work on the same sort of scale of time frame. If this was my project, it would take me 5 or so years to get to this point, and then another 3 to 5 years to finish the siding and trim work.
Yeah, and that's typically what would happen. But because the house is going to get painted this year, the windows are going to get framed. Like within the next few weeks, next couple of months, the windows will be framed and the house will be painted. So.
And when did you and your lovely wife pick out and buy the paint for this house?
3 years ago, 2 years. I think it was 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Yes, I bought paint for my house at the same.
Yeah, it's sitting outside. I saw it the other weekend.
I went with you guys at the same time, and I haven't done anything. So
yeah,
I'm in the same boat, brother.
Well, at least your house looks okay. It looks okay. I actually don't like the color of our house right now. And I did multiple swatches all around the house. So now we've got these different kind of blue spots all over the house. And it's been like that for a few years now. So anxious to get it a solid color and make it look better.
Yeah. I used some of that paint to paint the exterior of my shed shop.
Oh, okay.
I know how it's going to look, but I'm kind of curious if I have enough now to.
Right.
Didn't intend on using it for this project.
Well, we'll find out.
We'll find
Next
out.
couple of years.
Yep. And, the sides facing the street would be the color, and then the other side might end up being white or something else.
Yeah. I actually pressure washed the 2 street sides of the house the other day. So I could go out and paint the 2 facing sides of the street sides now, and then I can pressure wash. I had to cut down and trim back some stuff in order to pressure wash around the house. Excuse me, but anyways, that's what's going on. So that kind of helped, I think, pick the subject of today's podcast of organization.
Our subject of tangents, I think, will be a common thread in our podcast going forward, where we plan on a topic and then we get off track.
Yeah.
And then eventually veer back.
And then we'll veer back. Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing.
We don't. We're basically kind of winging it right now. And if you just like hearing our lovely voices, then you guys are in for a treat, because that's all we're going to do is just kind of talk.
I wish at least one of us could carry a tune.
It would be nice. Are you going to sing us something?
Nope, I can't. I can't even carry a tune in a bucket.
But can you carry a tune in a fish? Wah, wah. So, what do you think some of the key components of good organization is for a small worker space, a small shop?
Multi-use surfaces. For me, my welding table is my do everything table. It's my assembly table, it's my sanding table, it's my building table. And it's even, I made my table saw same height as my welding table, so my welding table becomes the outfeed table.
Smart.
So, and it's on casters, so I can move it around if I need to. Typically, it just stays up against the wall, but I can slide it out into the middle of my space.
Yeah. I think for me, the key element is casters. I believe just about everything I have or I use are on casters, which includes I've got the job site, the Walt table saw, and I just made a simple little rolling table that sits on, but it's the same height as my workbench, just like you. Yep. My workbench is on casters, so I can actually move my workbench so it can be the good outfeed table for my table saw. My compound sliding saw is on casters. I had an idea of making it kind of a half swivel. Like I wanted it to fold down so it would put away. But what I didn't take into consider is how tall it was. And it still sticks out from the wall almost just as much once it folded down. So I'm going to put some wings on this thing so I can fold it, tuck it away, and then I can bring it out and have plenty of support and stuff when I need it. Yeah. But casters is making, I even have my trash can on casters, and it's got a backing that holds my broom, and it holds my handheld broom and my dustpan. And to have that to wheel around the shop if I'm working somewhere, like when I'm cleaning out the storage bin. I wheeled that thing in here so I could throw away screws or old things and just kind of clean up. And sure, you can carry a
Yeah,
trash can, but put it on wheels, man. It's nice.
I agree. Caster. Most of my stuff are on casters. My garbage can's also on casters. The two things that are not on casters for me, my drill press, I recently took off of casters. It was on casters, but I've been playing around with machining, and the casters don't allow me to have a stable enough base for that. So my drill press came off the casters and got mounted to the floor in the corner. But my sander is on casters. My welding stuff is all casters. Everything else is casters. Although my table saw is a job site saw as well, it is not on casters, but it's on a frame that's light enough for me to just to pick up and move around.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not on casters. But I do have my cutting station. It's also on casters, but it's a flip table. So I have a metal saw on one side and a wood saw on the other. So it rotates. Well, it rotates 360 degrees. I can flip it any way I want. So I when I'm cutting wood, I have the DeWalt saw up, and then when I'm cutting metal, I have the other saw up, which I can't think of the name of it now, but I think it's
Evolution, is it?
no, it's
No.
well, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, but you got a metal
Yeah,
saw blade on it and not one of those discs, right?
yeah, Delta maybe
Oh,
or
it's the Delta, right?
whatever it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's it is a toothed metal cutting blade. I was using the abrasive blade, but it's so messy.
Yeah. Sparks. Sparks galore.
So I invested some money in a nice tooth metal cutting blade.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that cut a little quicker too? Cut the metal
Oh
a little quicker?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like that idea. I've been thinking about doing a flip cart too. And I think I will do a scroll saw on one side and then it'll flip around to my 6-disc belt grinder disc or belt sander disc sander combo thing. Because I don't use those that often. But when I do, I'm ended up picking it up from the bottom shelf and putting it on top of my, workbench. And
I use my belt sander disc sander a lot. Like
for metal, mostly like metal projects when you're welding to do the little bevel and stuff.
and wood. I use it for both.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I even hooked the shop vac up to it so it sucks the dust out.
Nice.
I did learn the hard way. You have to make sure it stays fairly clean because if you get dust built up on the inside and then you go to sand metal, you can start a fire.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I have a fire extinguisher in here, so I didn't have to use it. But yeah, that's why I often use the vacuum, so it doesn't allow the dust to collect in that little chamber anymore.
Yeah, that's cool. Another great thing is getting stuff off the ground. I use a lot of wall space that I can. As I see behind you, you even have a little 4-foot step ladder.
Yep.
On the wall. It's just off the ground. It's not going to tip over. You're not going to run into it. It gives you a little more floor space. You can wheel one of your carts underneath it or whatever and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I need to get more space. I try to put as much as I can up on the wall as well off the ground.
Yeah.
Above me, I have a racking system for wood and metal. And then I have other racking systems like that around. You can see some of my videos. Also, next to that ladder, I have a couple of racks to hold sawhorses up out of the way. And so if I need to make a bigger or an alternate work surface, I can pull those sawhorses down and lay some plywood or something on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Flexible space, and then try to keep things up off the floor, out of the way. Casters, move it out of the way.
And it also makes it easy for cleaning. If you don't have so much stuff on the floor, getting your broom or your shop vac out to clean up all the dust off your floor and keeping your floor clean, it makes it way easier to do that as well. And I made a wooden lumber rack too a few years ago. I didn't make a video about it, but it's super nice. Like, it's great having an area to stick your wood. And then I've got my sheet goods that I put underneath it. I had a sheet good rack on casters, and it was left outside because I wasn't really using it for sheet goods. But I had a whole bunch of PVC pipes and stuff to it, and it just wasn't getting used out there. And then I had some lumber on it, and I think that's when I made that rack on the wall to get everything off the ground and to lay flat instead of up and down. Because, like, when you're dealing with 8-foot 2x4s and an 8-foot ceiling, it's
yeah,
not ideal. Not ideal.
Yeah, it's always a battle. I'm always battling. A small space, you work on a project, everything gets cluttered, and then I'm not the most organized guy. It's a constant challenge for me. I constantly live in a state of chaos with projects. half done project here, 3/4 of a project over here.
Yeah.
One I'm just gathering goods for over here, materials for, and then I got to shuffle things around. But yeah, man, I think what I need a philosophy I need to embrace would be clean and organize as you go.
Yeah.
Sometimes I embrace it and everything runs smooth, and other times I don't necessarily embrace it, and minor chaos ensues, or some variation thereof.
Yeah.
Makes the project interesting, at least.
Yeah. I, for one, I'd love to be organized. I'm not that much, but I have that desire of having everything have its own place. And I love the look of organization. Like, I'd rather have a closet with no doors on it, showing a very neat, organized hanging of clothes or shoe rack or, something like that, opposed to closing the doors and not being able to see in your closet. And I don't know why. My wife, Sarah, she rather have doors on, our closet, but I did a whole shelving unit with his and her size and a very small closet. And right now we don't have a door on it, but she talks about wanting to put a curtain over it. I'm like, oh God, I don't want a curtain. So if we keep it clean and organized, I think it looks nice. And so I like that. I bring that into, like, my shop area. I've got a whole section of little bins, red bins and blue bins and small and large. I would love to have a bin for all my 1 1/4 inch T25 screws or whatever, all my this nails or this and that. And the tool wall, I've been working on individualized holders for each tool that I want to display and look nice and organized. I think it's a great backdrop for shooting videos. And it's also beautiful to be able to turn around and see, that's what I want. And I can take it, and not using pegboards and hooks and stuff and having the pegboards fall out. I'm done with pegboards. I'm so tired of the hooks falling out all the time and stuff. So now that I've got this pallet wall, I'm making individual wood holders. Everything will be able to hold and stay there, and you can bang on the wall all you want and nothing's going to fall out. That's what I think is great about organizing too, is having a place for every tool, having great access for it, and
I agree.
having it look nice.
I think if you have doors on your cabinets or doors over things, it's so easy just to shove things in there and then it gets lost.
Yes.
Then you play what the game? What's behind door number one? What's
Yeah.
behind door number two?
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you're looking for that specific tool, everything comes out of that. Or you're opening. I mean, I have a couple of cabinets with doors on it, and there's some peg hooks on it. Peg hooks, it's great for brushes or holding a couple of little things, but everyday tools that I use, I don't want to do that anymore. So I do hide things. I've got my sandpaper in there, it keeps it out of the dust. But then when you open it, there's also my glue, and then there's also casters, and then there's like my hot glue gun, and there's also like a bag with something in it, and a
And some brake
10,
pads.
yeah, and some. It's just, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
But I want tools. I want a tool for every job. So in order to do that, I need to make sure that I have the space and a place for every tool. And it's like I said, I've been working on this for years. I've revamped my shop multiple times. I find little more improvements every time as I go. I put together a playlist of shop organization things that I've been working on, and I'm going to add to that list as I continue making things.
Great idea for a playlist.
Yeah, it's called Shop Shorts. They're my little 6-minute, 8-minute videos, on simple little projects on what I can do in the shop and things that maybe you could be inspired for to help you organize your shop as well.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I think anyone listening to this should go check out your Shop Short series and pick up the tips and tricks that you've learned in your space. I'm in an ever evolving state. I haven't settled in to how I want my workspace to be. It's changing. It's changing all the time. Um, I mean, as you flow, things start to make sense. That the sander should be here, the assembly table should be here, storage should be over here. But being on casters, like we talked about earlier, makes it flexible so you can move things around.
Yeah. I saw an interesting video the other day, and I can't remember who it was, but he was doing a shop tour, and he did some key elements that he did in his shop, and it was a 2-car garage. Well, actually, it was a 3-car garage shop. He had a 8-foot door, and then he had one, 16-foot door, whatever, a double car door. And if you looked at his single car garage door, if you were to drive a car in there, there would be no way your passenger would get out of the car because it's so close to the wall. So he decided, like, I'm never going to use this garage door to drive in my car in and out. So he left the garage door there, but he took down all the railing and he built a faux wall in front of it. So he just gained an 8-foot by 8-foot wall of storage space. And that's where he's keeping his clamps and he's keeping other things. And I got thinking that this little half section of my garage, I don't need to lift up. I haven't lifted up that garage door since I replaced it 3-4 years ago. So I might build kind of a wall in front of it so I can use that as a storage wall as well to hold other stuff. And then if I need to take it down or whatever,
Put a wall on casters.
Well, maybe, maybe
a bi or trifold wall.
Yeah. The only problem with that is in order to hold up a wall that big, it would stick out too much. I'd probably end up tripping on it all the time or something. But, so that's something that I'm thinking of. And I'm not the only one that has to say in it, so I kind of have to talk to the other person that lives here and, possibly the person that owns the house too.
Well, you could put in a wall that's held basically by compression and just a couple of bolts to the floor and to the ceiling. And then if you needed to disassemble it, it wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah. So it sets on the ground and then it just kind of bolts onto the couple of the rafters. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good idea. But I liked the idea of gaining wall space to hold more of my stuff. Maybe it's just holds my entire socket set, or place for all my drill bits and that kind of stuff. I mean, right now I've just got a drawer full of stuff. It makes it really hard to find a specific drill bit or to find that socket and, you know.
I just this last weekend did a lame attempt at organizing my rolling tool chest in the garage. At least I got all the metric sockets in a metric drawer.
Oh,
I got all
good.
the standard sockets in a standard drawer, and the standard box wrenches in the box wrench drawer. So they're not organized by the correct size now, but at least the standards are with the standards and the metrics are with the metrics.
That's good.
All mixed up like I had before.
Yes. And the key is to make sure the metrics go back into the metrics drawer and the standard goes back to the standard drawer, because it's so easy to just, I got to clean up. I got to go. And you just kind of throw everything in one drawer.
And I have
that's impressive. That's good. The fact that you can even get to your rolling tool chest is good too, right?
Well, I had to do that for the solar guys because they need to come into my garage and go up into the attic. So I needed to take my motorcycle out of the garage and clean up around my panel and do that. So I did some organizing in there. So we are at 45-ish minutes.
Okay.
And I know you have dinner plans with the family. Maybe we should wrap this up.
Yeah, we can wrap this up a little bit. Is there anybody you've been watching? And not necessarily YouTube, like, or who you've been?
Been watching some Tesla YouTube videos, different people reviewing mainly Tesla charging stations and information on the Cybertruck that's been coming out. Because that's something I'm going to do in a few years, is get myself one of those Cybertrucks.
Yes, I can't wait for that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So you're just learning a little more by watching some videos.
Yeah. I'm learning more about EVs in general, electric vehicles in general. And then there's just a ton of people who are theorizing on the Cybertruck and how it's built and the different features it has and the exoskeleton, because it won't be a body on frame design like trucks are now. It will be an exoskeleton, meaning the belly pan and the walls are the frame of the vehicle.
Mm.
And it's a special stainless, cold rolled stainless steel that the SpaceX, Elon Musk's rocket company, that they use on their rockets. So it's the same metal that they're sending into space. The durability. In fact, it's supposed to be bulletproof. The truck will be bulletproof to handgun calibers, which I find mildly amusing.
Huh. Is it made out of the same metal that Captain America's shield is made out of?
No, it's not vibranium.
Oh,
That
okay.
would be freaking awesome. I could go for that. But I don't know that Elon has a treaty set up with Wakanda where they mine the vibranium.
Oh, that's not how he uses to make his batteries either, then.
No.
Okay.
Although vibranium powered battery would be amazing. But no, Elon's wealthy, but not that wealthy.
Okay. That's funny.
Yeah.
We started a few days ago and we've been watching a movie every night. And we started with the Marvel movies. So we're watching everything in this series of which you're supposed to watch it all the way up through Endgames.
As it was released? In the theater or in the recommended order by
In the recommended order. So we started with Iron Man, I believe is what it starts with, Iron Man, and then it went to Hulk,
Yeah.
and then God, did we go to Iron Man 2 right away? I think.
Might have, yeah.
And then Captain America, and then I think the first Avengers movie, and then the Iron Man 3, and then Guardian of the Galaxy. I don't remember the order, but we looked it up, and we just got through watching Ant-Man. So if you look up in the order online, you'll see how many movies that we've seen so far. We've offered Ant-Man, and then tonight, I don't know what movie is next for tonight, but it's actually been really cool. The whole family is enjoying it, and it's just action packed. It's pretty awesome. So we look forward to it.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to do. I love watching Thor Ragnarok. I rewatch that over and over. I even rewatch parts. I'll start it and only watch 20 minutes.
Really?
Taika Waititi, the guy who produced it, just did such an amazing job, and he's been involved with the Mandalorian project. He's been one of the directors on the Mandalorian TV
Yes.
show.
Great series too.
It's a great series. But I did a blast to the past this weekend. I watched Lost Boys from 1987.
Wow.
And the teenage vampires.
Yeah. Back when the teenage vampires were cool.
Yeah.
Not the damn teenage vampires they've got nowadays. No, golly.
These vampires didn't sparkle.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and you could catch all this stuff thanks to you. We're watching it all on the Disney Plus.
Yeah, I love Disney Plus.
They have all those Marvel movies available there, so I'm excited to see what we're watching tonight. I can't remember what the order was, but so that's kind of what we've been watching.
Some people have commented that Disney Plus, they're not putting out enough content, like new content, which might be true. I mean, they're not producing as much content as HBO or Netflix, but their back catalog of what they own is deep. I mean, it's all the Disney. It's National Geographic. It's Marvel. It's Star Wars. It's Pixar.
Yeah, and they've got some great series stuff too. Like they've got that that one series where they're finding props. I don't remember what it's called. It's not like Prop Masters or something like that. But there's one guy that the first show that we watched was Mary Poppins, and it was his quest to go find like Mary Poppins' bag, and then he finds all these other articles of clothing and props, and then he finds the actors, and then they introduce the props to the actors who haven't seen it in 40 years. And I mean, there's a whole series like that that's nice to watch. There's a whole series of The Mandalorian and the behind the scenes Mandalorian that can't think of what that one was called. We watched the first episode of that the other night too, and it was all about the directors, and it's like super cool. So I've been pretty.
They cover technology and practical effects and actors and different. So that series, they kind of take a topic and delve a little deeper. I've been enjoying that too. Jon Favreau, I think, is a great director and producer, and this reminds me a little bit of that project he did years ago, where it was I think he called it Dinner for Five or something like that, where he would take actors and producers and directors for like 5 of them or so and have a private dinner with them and have it filmed, and they would just talk industry. And that's what a little bit like this behind the scenes Mandalorian thing is like, where they sit and they talk and then they go out and show clips. So it's a very similar feel.
Yeah, that was cool. So yeah, if you guys are looking for something to watch, you got some time on your hands.
Watch our YouTube videos.
Yeah, and you can watch some YouTube videos. Follow this guy, Andrew. He's the bearded giant. He's got his YouTube video, and you can also find him on Instagram as well.
Yep. And
And
check out Gary. Check out the Bearded Woodworker. He has a fantastic maker channel, building channel. He also has some art as well on another channel, but right now he's focusing on his maker space, carpentry, woodworking, and
yeah.
projects. Yeah.
So I've been doing the Bearded Woodworker for like 3 years now, and I've got 6.5 thousand, subscribers. And my other mural and artist channel, which I've been doing for like 13 plus years or something, has 97. So I found that there's more people watching creators as in woodworking and this kind of thing than painters. It's hard to get into being the mural painter and the painter and have followers. But yeah, so I'm focused on the Bearded Woodworker. But we appreciate you guys listening to us. And those of you watching us on the YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Yes.
everyone.
Thank you. And look forward to the next week, not weekend, but the next week.
Yeah.
We're hopefully going to try putting out a podcast weekly.
Yeah.
Either weekly or bi-weekly. We're seeing how this rolls and
Yeah.
how much fun we'll have doing it. Right now, I'm kind of having a lot of fun doing it. It's pretty fun.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy it. I miss the community of being a creator. I miss having the projects to work on and sharing it with all of you. And having this podcast is reinvigorating those that joy I've had in the past. So
Yes, get back to creating and filming that stuff.
yes, I will.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching
Thank you
and listening.
Peace out.
See you guys later on the next one.